Welcome to the 40th State Senatorial District Debate, coming to you from the studios of TV 13 in Lehighton and sponsored by the Greater Pocono Chamber of Commerce. I'm your moderator, George Roberts, and for the next hour, we'll hear from the three candidates vying for this district seat, encompassing Monroe County and portions of Northampton County. Our candidates include Democrat Tarah Probst, Libertarian Adam Reinhardt, and incumbent Republican Mario Scavello. Our format tonight will include 2-minute opening and closing statements from the candidates. Our debate questions are provided by a 3-person panel, which include Kim Bell of News 13, Christopher Barrett of the Pocono Mountains Visitors Bureau, and Marlyn Kissner of the Greater Pocono Chamber of Commerce. And when a candidate is asked a question, they will have 90 seconds to respond, and the other 2 candidates will have 30 seconds for rebuttal. The order for tonight's debate was decided before we went on the air. So now let's begin tonight's 40th State Senatorial District Debate with opening remarks, starting with State Senator Mario Scavello.
Good evening. I'm State Senator Mario Scavello. It's been an honor to serve the people of the 40th Senate District for the past 3.5 years. I can tell you that I truly enjoy what I've done representing you of the 40 municipalities. I've been available throughout each and every one of those meetings that I've tried to attend, each and every meeting within the district. In the past 4 years, our school districts have received a tremendous amount of dollars. The average in the 7 school districts in Northampton County has been between 5 and 6.5%. On the Monroe County piece, I've had the school districts in Monroe County from 2002 to today. And just to give you some numbers, Stroudsburg School District went from $10 million to $32 million. Pocono Mountain went from $22.5 to $62 million. East Stroudsburg went from $17 million to $44 million, and likewise Pleasant Valley, $17.1 to $43 million. That information, by the way, will be, because during this debate, we're not going to have that much time because we have a 2-minute curfew. Scavello for Senate Facebook. Scavello for Senate Facebook. All the information, there'll be some comments that I make during the day, during the course of this debate, and that information will be on the screen as well. I've been the mayor of Mount Pocono for almost 8 years. I was the chair of the county commissioner, state representative for 16, and senator for the last 4. So I'm here to hear your questions, and to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to the debate.
Thank you. Now, Libertarian candidate Adam Reinhardt.
Thank you. My name is Adam Reinhardt, and I am not a politician. I was born in Allentown. I was raised in East Stroudsburg on the same land that my great-grandparents lived on. I graduated from East Stroudsburg High School South. I got my degree in religion from Houghton College and my Master's of Divinity from Princeton Theological Seminary. I am a minister by trade. I'm a truth teller. I'm somebody who is trying to do the right thing. I was called upon for this position by the Libertarian Party of Northampton County. And I can tell you, I answered the call because the message of liberty is too important to not get the airtime it deserves. And independent, libertarian, and other third-party voters deserve representation on the ballot. So I'm here to represent those people, and I'm here to represent anybody displeased with the status quo, anybody who feels like they don't have a political home, anybody who's disillusioned with politics. I'm here to give you something different. If you send me to Harrisburg, I will be unbeholden to any major party. I'll be unbeholden to any establishment, unbeholden to any donors. I'll be beholden to you, to the Constitution, and above all, to my principles and my conscience. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Democrat Tarah Probst.
Well, first of all, thank you for hosting this debate, to the Chamber of Commerce and TV 13, and thank you for my opponents for being here tonight. My name is Tarah Probst, and I am the mayor of Stroudsburg Borough. I was honored to be reelected the mayor last November by a very wide majority. I grew up in East Stroudsburg. I was the daughter of a single mom with 3 older brothers. My maiden name is Tarah Verway, local. And I graduated high school at 16 from East Stroudsburg, and I graduated college at 20 from King's College in 1992. I then went into the workforce, and I was an account executive. My territories included the Northeast Pennsylvania region, the Lehigh Valley, and the Poconos. While I was working full-time, I went to law school at night. I commuted to Harrisburg for 4 years, 3 to 4 nights a week, to earn my law degree from Widener University School of Law in Harrisburg. So with all my travels, I have seen the changes that we've had in the last 25 years, especially in the Poconos and the Lehigh Valley. When I was elected mayor, I left corporate America behind. I opened up a small business in my downtown and I invested in my community. I wanted to be a full-time mayor, not a figurehead position. I wanted to be intertwined with my community. I wanted to bring positive results to my town, and I did, and I couldn't have done that without our borough council, our streets department, our staff, our borough manager, cops, fire. It takes a village to do that. I'm proud of what we've accomplished. Being the mayor in the county seat, I've also seen what we're facing in the region, and we have serious issues like school tax reform. Our constituents have been crying. They've been pleading for 20 years. They're being buried in taxes. We've had 16 years of promises. We've had 16 years of promises to reduce this tax, yet they've gone up 41%. We deserve better. There are solutions. I also want to say the environment is important to me. We have environmental issues and we have quality of life issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start our question and answer period. Kim Bell will ask the first question. It will be directed to Mario Scavello.
Senator Scavello, News 13 has asked viewers to send us their questions. The overwhelming #1 question involves property tax. Voters have been hearing about property tax reform for decades, yet legislators have not gotten it done. Senator Scavello, you've talked about reducing property tax. Is this still a priority for you, and can you make it happen?
#1 priority. We came very, very close 2 years ago. It was, we had Senate Bill 76 went on the ballot. We had 24-24, and the Lieutenant Governor broke the tie. What bothers me, and if you look at our region where it is a problem, it's Democrats and Republicans that voted together. Lisa Boscola, John Udicek, we had Pat Brown, Lisa Baker, myself, Mensch. We all voted but one person that has the highest foreclosures in the county, in the state, was Cuba Township, and John Blake voted no. That one vote, we would not be talking today. We would have had it done. So yes, it's #1. I'm also, if we can't pass 76, the next option was to take it on the ballot, to change the Constitution, to take it off of owner-occupied residential properties. And we're working on that now, but the problem is some of the 76 folks want to still try to do 76, which I will vote for it if we can get it up for a vote. But if we can't, we got too many people losing their homes. We need to go the other way. But as I said earlier, the school districts have done very well the last few years in Monroe County. Like for example, Pocono Mountain hasn't raised taxes in 6 years. Stroudsburg raised once out of the last 4. East Stroudsburg hasn't in 5 years. Okay.
Adam Reinhardt, you have 30 seconds.
Well, getting House Bill or Senate Bill 76 back up and running and passed would also be my #1 priority. I think I would be in the unique position as somebody not part of any major party to be a sort of deal maker, a kingmaker, so to speak. Everyone's going to want to know how I'm going to be voting on a whole series of issues because I won't be voting party lines. So I will be in the position to make deals and compromises to get that bill passed.
Thank you. Tarah Probst, 30 seconds.
Sure. SB 76 was bad legislation. 12 Republicans didn't vote for it. So it wasn't one person, John Blake, that made the decision. It was bad legislation because it does not solve the problem of inequitable funding for schools. The schools are not funded fairly, and what we're doing is we're putting it on the backs of our taxpayers instead of our natural resources that are in our state that take from us, and we take nothing towards education. We need to start taking it from corporations and companies instead of people.
Thank you. Time. Next question is from Chris Barrett. It will be directed to Adam Reinhardt.
Don't we get a 30-second rebuttal?
No.
Since I started first?
You had 90 seconds.
No.
No? Okay. Sorry.
Good evening, Mr. Reinhardt.
Sorry.
The state retired public employee pension obligations are enormous. The debt stands at over $70 billion. Some reforms have been made. Do you agree with capping the retirement payouts to be more taxpayer friendly, considering most taxpayers do not have such rich retirement plans themselves?
Yes, and I think I would be the only person at this table to say that I would eliminate pensions for politicians altogether. Of course, I'd grandfather in people who have been hoping for it and waiting for it, but I myself wouldn't receive a pension, and I would see to it that politicians in the future don't receive pensions, because being a representative of the people should be a service and not a career.
Thank you. Tarah, you have 30 seconds.
And Chris, I think you're great, but I couldn't hear a word you said. Could you repeat the question?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So the state retired public employee pension obligations are enormous. The debt stands at over $70 billion. Okay. Some reforms have been made. Do you agree with capping the retirement payouts to be more taxpayer friendly, considering most taxpayers do not have such rich retirement plans themselves?
Right, so this is a loaded question, because public service, and I just believe that public servants should get their full pension. When it comes to legislators, absolutely, I have no problem funding it, a 401k, whatever we need to do as public servants in the legislature and the General Assembly. But for public school teachers and cops and first responders, I absolutely believe that they are public servants and they deserve a full pension.
Thank you. Mario Scavello, 30 seconds.
We voted in Harrisburg on 3 different occasions to reduce the pensions, and the last one, we could have done it a year earlier. The governor vetoed it, but we did go to like a hybrid plan where we reduced the one side, and on the other side we made it like a 401k. So it's a split pension. It's like a hybrid pension, the last one. And the new legislators, upon coming in, will have to go into that plan.
Thank you.
Well.
Next question is from Marlyn Kissner, and it's directed to Tarah Probst.
Thank you. And Tarah, just so you know, these questions were submitted by our chamber members and our local businesses.
Okay.
What is your plan to assist municipalities with the continual unfunded mandates that force local officials to increase taxes, such as the MS4 for stormwater management and also tractor trailers that are permitted to really go on any road?
Right. Well, it's funny because right now that is a big issue. I was in Wind Gap the other day, and there was probably 100 trucks that went down 512 in 10 minutes, and it's an issue. What's going on right now with the funding is that we're basically all broke. And I say that in a serious manner. We need more money from the state, but the state is broke. And we're letting people come into our state, use our natural resources, and not give back to Pennsylvania. They're sucking us dry, and we're not getting anything out of it. They're dumping garbage in our state every single day, and we're not getting enough. So we need to start getting our money from revenue sources outside of people to help start funding our projects in municipalities and boroughs and infrastructure. So that's my answer.
Mario, you have 30 seconds.
First of all, MS4 is a federal project. We have to enforce it, but it's federal. It has to do with runoff. It has to do with impervious surface. So your question wasn't answered. As far as the trucking question part of it, we've actually made it easier for local municipalities in the bill that we passed, because before a municipality would have to do its study, and a costly study in order to limit trucks on a particular road. With what we passed, the municipality, all they have to do, notify the state and PennDOT and just post.
Thank you. Adam Reinhardt, 30 seconds.
Well, in general, I really don't favor unfunded mandates, and especially ones that come from the federal government. So I would probably seek to eliminate as many unfunded mandates as possible.
Okay, thank you. Gone through our first round of questions. We'll start our next round of questions. This time we'll start with Chris Barrett, and your question will be directed to Mario Scavello.
Senator Scavello, good evening. Currently, the Pocono Mountains host 26.6 million visitors yearly. These guests spend well over $3.5 billion in the region during 2016. This was a 9.7% increase and the strongest rate of growth in the state of Pennsylvania. What are your specific ideas or proposals to directly support the strongest industry in the region to ensure its future viability?
One thing we have to do is get our infrastructure right, and that's what we're working on. Approximately $1.1 billion is going to come back into our area. You need to fix the I-80. You need to fix our infrastructure. You need to make our roads safer. And when folks come up to our area, when these tourists come here, they're going to spend money not just at the attractions that attracted them, but throughout the county. So it's to me, it's so important. But the other thing we just passed every year, you folks are coming looking for dollars from the state. We finally addressed it with what the bill that I passed in my committee, where the dollars are going after these Airbnbs. Those dollars will help you advertise more in New York and New Jersey to increase that tourism industry business. And for us, it's a big moneymaker for us. If we go back 2 or 3 years ago, before the water parks started our unemployment was 2% over the state average. We're now 1 or less than 1% over the state average. Why? Because of the additional jobs that were created. So for me, continue to invest in advertising for tourism and getting our roads proper, safe, and so people can get to where they have to go much quicker.
Tarah Probst, 30 seconds.
Sure. 60% of our area is working poor, working at these tourist attractions, just so you know. They're working 40 hours a week and they're still on welfare. So make no mistake, tourism is so important and it's been the backbone of the Pocono since its existence. I have no problem with that. But I would like to see more corporate parks instead of water parks and more industry instead of minimum wage jobs from the tourists. They come in, they beat up on our roads, they stay at one hotel and they drive back to where they came from, which is fine. However, we need better jobs from it.
Time is up. Adam Reinhardt, 30 seconds.
Well, I think the Poconos have the potential to be really the new Atlantic City, and I believe the free market works. And I think most of the problems we face come from the government getting in the way. I think we should lift caps on things like casinos in the area. People, if they want the casinos, there should be a market response. You know, I love water parks, I love corporate parks. I think the market will provide those things if the government just gets out of the way.
Thank you. Next question is from Marlyn Kissner, and it's directed to Adam Reinhardt.
Adam, according to a 2017 Comprehensive Community Health Needs Assessment, Monroe County is 65 out of 67 when it comes to quality of life. So how do you propose to fix this?
Well, we have a lot of problems. In fact, there was a recent economic forum at ESU, and on a number of different things, we rank pretty close to the bottom. On the one thing we ranked close to the top on was crime. So that's a complex issue. There would need to be a lot of research done. We would need to set up a commission to look into what the particular health issues of the county are. Because I don't know those things. I'd be needing to talk to doctors and to healthcare workers and to the people on the ground who might know better what that answer is.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Mario Scavello, 30 seconds.
Well, personally, the first thing we need to do is stop people from commuting, because that creates a lot of, and we need to create the jobs here. We've got Sanofi expanding. We have the Army Depot expanding. Although the water park jobs, many of them are over 45, 50,000. We need to create jobs. The more jobs we create here, we keep people from traveling. And when you keep people from traveling, they can make a few extra bucks, but it gets rid of a lot of the problems that we have. In some cases, both parents are traveling.
Time is up. Thank you. Tarah Probst, 30 seconds.
Sure. 35% of our constituents travel an hour or more to work every day to make ends meet. They're not home with their kids before school. They're not home with their kids after school. And believe me, they have to make a choice of putting food on the table and a roof over their children's heads or going to work to pay their school taxes. And this has been an issue for over 2 decades. We do need jobs here. They haven't come through. We need better jobs. We need living wages. They're not here. And there's solutions and a way to do that. And if you vote for me on November 6th, I'll help get those solutions taken care of.
Thank you. Next question from Kim Bell, and it's directed to Tarah Probst.
Okay. Pennsylvania has the highest gasoline tax in the nation, over 58 cents per gallon. With gasoline prices continuing to increase and many of the residents in Monroe and Northampton counties commuting to New York, how can you help them save money at the gas pump?
Well, it's funny that this is the question coming to me. My opponent, Mario Scavello, voted to raise the gas to the highest in Pennsylvania history 8 years ago. And it's pretty funny when you go 8 miles over the border into New Jersey and gas is cheaper. So there's a lot of issues with that. our commuters who get on the MARTS bus, that, you know, it's almost $600 a month for 22 round trips to go into New Jersey, New York for work. So everything hinges. When gas goes up, the price of the ticket's going to go up. When gas goes up, the price of your food is going to go up. It's just, it's a fact of life. It really, for every 1 cent that gas goes up, it takes $1 billion out of the economy every single day. So this is a massive problem in Pennsylvania, and it's something that, again, my opponent voted to raise the gas tax. So we've got to get it under control. We just keep hurting people every single day with tax, 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 and more tax on the backs of the people. So we have to get it together in Harrisburg, and we have to start compromising and getting things back to normal so people can live here, thrive here, and be happy. We are 50th in entrepreneurship. We are 48th in the country for people wanting to do business in Pennsylvania. These are some of the reasons why. I mean, think about that. We are in one of the nicest regions in Pennsylvania. We're right by major arteries. We're right by great cities. We have beautiful streams and outdoor space. And we are 50th in entrepreneurship and 48th for companies wanting to come here to do business. And we deserve better, and the time should be now.
Thank you. Adam Reinhardt, 30 seconds.
Well, it's funny. As far as I can tell, Domino's Pizza does a better job filling potholes than PennDOT does. I've personally blown tires and things on potholes in this area. So I have to wonder where all that money goes when we pay this exorbitantly high fee at the pump. And with the commuters, it really should be a concern of our legislators to keep the taxes there low at the pump.
Mario Scavello,
okay, it's going to be
30
tough for me to respond in 30 seconds. Scavello for Senate has the full answer on this whole, but what I'd like to first mention, and Tarah didn't mention, she gets 20% a year increase they got for 5 years, every municipality, so to do their roads, liquid fuels to do their roads. And if they didn't get those dollars, they'd be raising local property taxes. Many municipalities got up to $400,000 when at the total end. So imagine $400,000 more a year when after that 20% kicked in to do roads. And so she didn't talk about that.
Time is up. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. We're going to take a quick break. We come back more with the 40th State Senatorial District debate. And welcome back. This is the 40th State Senatorial District debate. I'm your moderator, George Roberts, along with the candidates, Democrat Tarah Probst, Libertarian Adam Reinhardt, and incumbent Republican Mario Scavello. We're going to continue with the questions. Chris Barrett, you will be addressing Mario Scavello.
Senator, what are your ideas for proposals to support critical infrastructure upgrades and ongoing road maintenance in the Pocono Mountains?
Like I said earlier, actually we talked about the gas tax. That's what creates what we have. We have about approximately $1.1 billion already spoken for that's going to come back into Monroe. Northampton's got another 800,000 plus the widening of 22. We need to see our bridges and our infrastructure fixed. In the 40th Senate District, 42 bridges were done in the last few years. And when Pennsylvania is blessed with many streams, we're the second state. Alaska's got more miles of streams than we have, rivers and streams, and we're number 2. So when you look at our roads, 44,000 miles of roads versus 2,300 in New Jersey. When you compare dollars and cents, I'm going to answer that gas tax with this. I'll have a little bit more time. When you compare dollars to cents, if you traveled in New Jersey, bought a registration in New Jersey, driver's license in New Jersey, drive 12,000 miles, and paid the $285, because by the way, it's about $285 right now in New Jersey, and you did that in Pennsylvania, buying the registration, license, and everything else, it is cheaper in Pennsylvania than it is in New Jersey, because they toll most of their roads, the parkways and all. So when you talk about it, you got to talk about apples to apples. The infrastructure is coming. We have a tremendous amount of plans to fix 611. That's a $30 million project. Another $35 million at 715 and 611. We have the widening of I-80. There's work being done on 33. In Wind Gap, we just paved about between.
Time is up.
Okay.
Thank you. Adam Reinhardt, 30 seconds.
It seems the only solution most politicians can come up with is tax more to handle these problems. I think we need to find creative solutions that don't include raising taxes. I think we really need to look into corporate sponsorship for infrastructure, naming rights for roads, access lanes for things like Amazon to move freight, that they can start paying for part of that burden of infrastructure repair and upkeep.
And Tarah Probst, 30 seconds.
Sure. It took less than a year to build the Empire State Building, and it took 2 years to build the 7th Street Bridge, and it already got repaved 2 years later. We need to start doing a better job when we're doing our paving and our road infrastructure. We need to make sure it lasts. So it seems like Mount Pocono has been under construction for about 2 years. It seems like 611 and our Main Street, it's all under construction all at the same time, but yet we've been paying this gas tax for over 8 years. So they're still a mess, and when they fix them, they need fixing real quickly when they're done. So we need to do a better job, and we need rail.
Thank you. Next question from Kim Bell. It will be directed to Adam Reinhardt.
Okay. Amazon has a prominent presence in Northampton County, and the company just announced they will pay employees at least $15 per hour. Pennsylvania currently follows the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. Do you think the minimum wage should increase, and to what number?
Well, I'm very glad Amazon is doing that because they can afford to do that. Most little mom and pop shops couldn't afford 15. Maybe they could afford 11. 9 would probably be more reasonable. It should certainly keep up with inflation at the very minimum. If we're going to have a minimum wage, it should keep up with inflation. I know that's not a specific number, but.
Okay. Thank you. Tarah, 30 seconds.
Yeah, we need an increase in minimum wage, but we can't do it on the backs of small and medium-sized businesses because we'll put them out of business. We need to cut the Delaware loophole. That'll bring in hundreds of millions of dollars a year to give incentives to small and medium-sized businesses to pay living wages. They can't do it without help. They're not, that $2 cupcake is going to be $6 and it's going to be priced out of the market. But we need to cut the loophole and get hundreds of millions back into Pennsylvania. Over 80% of our businesses do not pay Pennsylvania tax. They may pay sales tax, but they don't pay the tax as small and large, medium businesses.
Mario, 30 seconds.
You keep bringing up that Delaware loophole. I'm sorry, but you really don't understand it. You don't know about the corporate net income tax. You think you were paying 9.99 corporate income tax. The truth is, they did raise it to 15, but they took something away from their employees. They took away a profit share or something. So some of the employees at Amazon are actually making less than the 15.
Thank you. Next question is from Marlyn Kissner, and it's directed to Tarah Probst.
Tarah, we've talked so much about the job market and different businesses other than tourism. So my question to you is economic development is so crucial for Monroe County and Northampton County. Right. So how do you plan to help recruit and retain these businesses in the district with the family-sustaining wages?
Absolutely. So like I said before, we have some of the best schools in the region, and we're 50th. We are the 50th state for entrepreneurship. We are 48th in the country for businesses wanting to come to Pennsylvania and do business here. Do you think it has something to do with maybe our high taxes and our high corporate tax at 9.9%, one of the highest in the country? Maybe our fuels tax, which is one of the highest in the country. We need to make sure that where we're located, we are so close to New York, we are so close to Philadelphia, we need the infrastructure for rail. We need to get our rail going back and forth, and we need to put corporate parks in, and we need to put industry back into Pennsylvania, not $7.25 an hour jobs where people are on the welfare line after working 40 hours a week. Half of the people only work 30 hours a week because the companies don't want to insure them, and then they go to part-time jobs for 20 hours a week, and they're still on welfare. No one should work that hard and be on welfare. So we need to attract. We need to lower the corporate tax rate. We need to attract good business, corporate parks, good industry, good paying jobs, so that people can live here, thrive here, spend here. Pennsylvania deserves better. There's no reason, with all the natural resources and everything we have, our proximity to cities and roadways, that we should be 50th in entrepreneurship and 48th in businesses wanting to come here. We should be in the top 20, no doubt. This can change too. We can do this.
Thank you. Mario Scavello, 30 seconds.
Capital stock and franchise tax, we phased that out over 7 years. We phased out and got rid of the tax on the family farms. So if a farmer passed, his family doesn't have to sell a piece of that farm to pay the inheritance tax. You talk about the 9.9 corporate net income tax. It needs to be phased down. I agree with you there. However, until this year, our revenues were not where they should be, Tarah.
Time
and now
is
they're
up.
starting to
Thank
come
you.
back. We are facing
Adam
that
Reinhardt,
right
30
now.
seconds.
Well, we got a Republican and Democrat both talking about how they want to lower and continue lowering taxes. So I love it. I love it. I absolutely agree with Tarah about lowering the corporate tax. I think 76 would be great because if we eliminated land tax on businesses, we'd have businesses flocking into the state. And yeah, so I think we just reached some bipartisan agreement there.
Thank you. Okay, next question is from Kim Bell. It is addressed to Mario Scavello.
Okay. Senator Scavello, in the commercial that you're currently running, you vowed to bring more education dollars back to Monroe and Northampton counties. How will you get that done?
We have been doing it all along. I just lobby for more dollars regularly, and I gave you those numbers. And those numbers are, if you go to Scavello for Senate, they're there. For our 4 school districts in Monroe have gone, the increase has been tremendous. And for the other 7 school districts in Northampton County, we've had an average between 5 and 6.5%. I always fight for school funding. That's why PSEA always endorses me, because I'm always out there to bring the extra dollars back. Because if we don't get the dollars from the state, it's got to come locally. And if you look, most of our school districts have been pretty flat. They have not been raising taxes because they've been getting those extra dollars from the state.
Thank you. Tarah Probst, 30 seconds.
I don't know what planet we're living on. Our taxes have gone up 41% in the last 2 decades. Actually, in the last 10 years, I believe 41%. The American Federation of Teachers endorsed me because I will not take away from education. We can't be taxing on the backs of people. We need to start taxing on our natural resources that are getting drained from our state. We're 3rd best in the world for natural gas production, and we take 0 towards education. For 8 years, my opponent voted against it, and he cut $1 billion in education 8 years ago.
Thank you. Adam Reinhardt, 30 seconds.
Well, it's my understanding that the inequality of funding for our schools between over here in Monroe County versus, say, in the western side of the state accounts for why our property taxes are so high. So I want to ask the question, why are they being funded so unequally? And we need to find a situation, find an arrangement that funds all schools equally per student so that rich white communities aren't funded way more than poor communities of color.
Okay, thank you. Next question is from Chris Barrett, and will be directed to Adam Reinhardt.
Mr. Reinhardt, how would you bring more state dollars to the region to combat the opioid crisis as well as support critical human service programming?
The opioid crisis is probably one of the things I hear the most about when I knock on doors and talk to people. I know it's touched my family, pretty closely. I've lost people to addiction. I've seen people make miraculous recoveries and people who inspire me every day. In terms of bringing more money to the issue, I'm not exactly certain how I would do that, but I do think the larger question that has to be asked about the opioid crisis is what's causing it, and is our war on drugs really doing a darn thing to fix it? I think we need to move from a situation where we throw sick people in prison to addressing it as a public health crisis, the public health crisis that it is. Other countries have decriminalized all drugs and have seen remarkable decreases in use, abuse, crime, corruption, disease, and aren't those the things that we want to see disappear anyway? So I favor exploring harm reduction policies rather than just trying to police the issue away, because it's not working. And you put a person in a cage, they're not going to start acting more like a person.
Thank you. Mario Scavello, 30 seconds.
Well, we have put much more dollars into this problem. I've asked and I've written a letter to the Attorney General about 6-7 months ago. He visited Mount Pocono, and I handed him the letter, and that is to go after these drug companies, because they did not do a good job of letting people know the addictiveness of those drugs, and that was one of the biggest problems that we had. Because when we closed that door and started monitoring the prescriptions, what happens is people started to go to the heroin and everything else.
30 seconds.
We held the tobacco companies responsible. We need to hold the pharmaceutical companies responsible. They were the biggest drug dealers on the street. They need to pay for services, for mental health services. They need to pay for Narcan supplied to our first responders, our families. Heroin addiction knows no age, no income, has no barriers. It is an epidemic, and we need to hold the pharmaceutical companies responsible, and we need to take that money and we need to get more services for the people who are in need as addicted being addicted to the opioids.
Thank you. Our next question, Marlyn Kissner, and you'll direct it to Tarah Probst.
Tarah, what's your view and what kind of policies will you pursue to promote social and racial justice in our communities?
Well, I'm proud. As the mayor of Stroudsburg, we were the first community in the Poconos, or in Monroe County, to have the Human Relations Act. So the Human Relations Act makes sure in my town that you're not discriminated against for color, your religion, your LGBTQ community. So I'm very proud of that. We're a very diverse town, and I'm proud to say that there hasn't been one complaint. If you're discriminated in Stroudsburg, we have a Human Relations Committee that you can file a complaint to. If your complaint warrants, we get you a path to the Court of Common Pleas. I am for equality of religion. I am for equality of the LGBT community. I am equality for women and women's rights. So I care about nothing more than people being treated fairly, with dignity and respect. We are too divided right now in this country, and it really bothers me, it upsets me. And believe me, it comes from both sides. We need to start uniting and having respect for one another, and I've shown that in Stroudsburg, and as a leader of Stroudsburg, we have done that. We have a local mosque in our Stroudsburg borough. We have a church on every corner in Main Street, and it's wonderful. The mosque has interfaith dinners with Christians and Jewish people, and Muslims get together and they share meals, and it's lovely. I'm very fortunate, and I'd like to see that good feeling spread throughout our region in the 40th District.
Thank you. Adam Reinhardt, 30 seconds.
The question was about racial fairness, right? I think one of the worst ways we see racial discrimination is in the justice system. We really need comprehensive criminal justice reform. I lift up the 10-point platform of Campaign Zero as a really good thing people might want to look up. All 10 points of that platform would be tremendous. And then ending the drug war, which disproportionately puts black and brown people behind bars. That would be where I'd go with that.
Mario Scavello, 30 seconds.
I think what happened in Stroudsburg is a duplication of federal and state laws that wasn't necessary. But I just want to go back. You know, you talked about taxes, Tarah. 7.5% tax increase. You have the highest taxes of any municipality of the 40th Senate District. And it was good to see that the Philadelphia School Teachers Union endorsed you. You should have let them know that that's what it was.
Thank you. We're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue with questions. You're watching the 40th State Senatorial District Debate. We'll return in a moment. Welcome back. I'm George Roberts, moderator for the 40th State Senatorial District Debate. Our candidates tonight, Democrat Tarah Probst, Libertarian Adam Reinhardt, and incumbent Republican Mario Scavello. We're going to continue now with our questions from our panel. We'll start with Chris Barrett. You'll be addressing Mario Scavello.
Thank you, George. Senator, what are your specific philosophies for combating the partisan nature of the political process in Harrisburg?
To be very honest with you, I have a good relationship with both sides of the aisle, and I believe it's not the letter at the end of the name, it's what's in your heart. And I tell people all the time, when we vote on something and both sides aren't happy, we did the right thing. That means we got people together and we negotiated. To me, that's so important. And I always reach out to the other side because you need to have votes from the other side. With property tax, it's not a Republican or a Democratic thing. It depends on where you are in the state. So you had to reach out to the other side. I reached out to John Blake to vote for that school property tax bill. So if you don't reach out, nothing's going to happen. So bringing people together is something that I've been, since I've been in Harrisburg. And the truth is, if you don't get people together, you really get bad bills. You can't have bills that are slanted one way or the other. You need to bring people together and get some legislation that both sides can live with.
Adam Reinhardt, 30 seconds.
Well, my answer for ending bipartisan gridlock is elect libertarians, elect third-partiers, elect independents. If you have people in there who aren't part of the two tribes, they can referee a little bit. They can break the gridlock by making deals that the two parties, by nature of their party allegiances, can't make. And they can bring the best ideas of both sides together for truly not bipartisan, transpartisan solutions. So elect more libertarians.
And Tarah Probst, 30 seconds.
Sure. I'm sick of the divide. When there's a divide, nothing gets done. And right now, excuse me, out of the last 16 years that my opponent has been in Harrisburg, he's had the majority party for 12 of them. And only 3% of the Democratic bills get through right now, even get to the committee. So even if it's a good bill from a Democrat, they won't even look at it, and it's rare. So I feel like compromise, bipartisanship is the key to a successful Pennsylvania. And it can be done, and it used to be done that way. So I'd like to get back to that.
Up. Thank you. Kim Bell, question for Adam Reinhardt.
Thank you. How should Pennsylvania schools handle gun violence? Specifically, should teachers be armed? And should every school have police officers on site? Where does the money come from for your solution?
I don't think teachers should be required to be armed. I don't think they should be expected to be armed because they're not trained to handle emergency combat situations. That being said, I think every school district should have the right to determine those policies for themselves. I don't believe in increased police presence either because there's statistical evidence that links a pipeline of young kids, especially poor and kids of color, into the criminal justice system at an early age. I don't want to see that. I would personally favor privatizing school defense and hiring people who have a vested financial interest in keeping our kids safe. And then we need happier kids because I think the real problem with school shootings is at the heart of it, it's a public suicide. And if we have happier kids, kids who have purpose, kids who have a sense of belonging, who aren't so lonely, we'll see a decrease in the school violence problem. But for everywhere from school shootings to bullying, if we have happier kids, then this is not going to be a problem we'll be talking about in the future.
Thank you. Tarah Probst, 30 seconds.
Sure. It's obvious that there's some mental health issues. This is plaguing our nation right now with school shootings. But I don't think making a school, excuse me, look like a jail cell is a way to learn. I think that that is going to be do more harm than good. I am pro Second Amendment, but I do not think that teachers should have the responsibility of arming their schools. I think we need more mental health services. I think we need it harder for mentally ill people to get their hands on guns, more importantly. So I think we need to take care of that first.
Thank you. Mario Scavello, 30 seconds.
I did get all of my 11 school districts together, and we did discuss, they do not want the teachers armed, so I support them. They do want more, and they need more guidance counselors. They've got 1 to 350, 1 to 400. So if there's a child out there that has a problem, you're going to miss him. And I believe that the children should be tested at least 2 or 3 times to see if for depression. And those are the things that the school districts wanted. And as far as security, many of them are hiring retired police officers and giving them part-time jobs.
Thank you. Marlyn Kissner, your question will be for Tarah Probst.
Tarah, this hits home with a lot of our businesses that are affected. So in light of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, what do you propose to do to help breast cancer patients overcome the denial of insurance coverage of necessary diagnostic testing and procedures by insurance companies?
Right. The state of our insurance today is sickening. I mean, you have to choose between your medications. I mean, my mother is 78 years old. Her medications are half of her Social Security. So how are especially seniors supposed to live? Breast cancer survivors, for diagnostic, I mean, this shouldn't even be an issue for people to wake up in the morning and worry about. We should be able to have affordable health care. Pennsylvania is one of the highest in the country. I'd like to see the state lines opened up so you have options for better health care programs and plans to start. But one of the things that really upset me the most is that it seems like the insurance companies just keep taking and taking, and the less competitive it is, the more their rates are going up. So that's to me, it's like if you're sick or poor or old, too bad. That's upsetting to me. I will say that as a candidate, I will not take money from insurance companies. I will not take money from the hands of people that aren't making it affordable for their constituents to be able to take care of their needs. I know that my opponent has taken money from Blue Cross and Highmark and Lehigh Valley Network, and I vow I will never do that. I will fight for my constituents for affordable health care, the right to get to their doctors, and the right to get, especially the breast care screenings, and just overall health awareness. So I'd open up the markets, I'd be more competitive, and I think that would help Pennsylvania a lot.
Thank you. Mario Scavello, 30 seconds.
You described the problem with Obamacare. That's exactly what you've done there. As far as taking money, since you're going in that direction, the expenses, your expenses on your last two reports, your #1 expense was your husband. You gave him $5,700 for consulting fees. And if you want to see it, it's on Scavello for Senate.
Would you like to answer the question?
No, well, I just figured, let me start there first.
Okay.
Okay. Secondly, we need to have better health care.
Time
And unfortunately, go ahead.
Adam Reinhardt, 30 seconds.
This is why you elect libertarians. I don't bicker with anybody. This is very personal to me. My mother battled cancer for 22 years before ending her journey with cancer about 1.5 years ago. And yeah, the whole healthcare system is a mess. Obamacare helped some people. It most certainly didn't help my parents. We should open up over state lines. We should allow pharmacies to buy medicine from outside the country. We should let Medicare negotiate costs. All those things would help.
Thank you. Next question is from Christopher Barrett for Mario Scavello.
Thank you. Senator, what are your feelings concerning streamlining the current governmental structures within Pennsylvania on the local, county, and state levels to reduce costs? Some residents are represented by 3 or 4 separate governmental entities at any one time. That might cause administrative redundancies that could increase costs. So what are your views on reducing government?
I think we have way too many municipalities, way too many school districts, and I believe that we should look at trying to merge some of them. We've started with regional departments. For example, I was involved with the first regional in Monroe County with bringing the police together, and then I helped also in the Stroud Area Regional. By merging those departments, you get to meet with the elected officials within those municipalities on a regular basis and see how they're handling something. In many cases, they start to share services. And that's the beginning. That's how you start to reduce costs. But I'd love to see municipalities, start to look at possible merging. I think we have 500 school districts in Pennsylvania. I'd love to see 1 school district in Monroe, maybe 2 in Northampton, base it off of population, and merge school districts. Send the kids to the closest school. And that's how you're going to start to save dollars. How often a bus goes up a street, passes 3 homes, a school bus, and picks up kids at the end of the street because that's another municipality. So here comes that school bus back now from the other school district, picks up kids, and in some cases, those students are on that school bus for an extra half hour because their school is farther away. Send the students to the closest school, 1 administration, and it's big money. It's about $25, $30 million that you save.
Thank you. Tarah Probst, 30 seconds.
Sure. Always cutting costs on education. It's like every answer. Let's just have 1 big school board. Well, you're still going to need the administrators to run all those kids. So really, what is the overall savings? You're still going to need buses to transport kids to schools. So I'm just sick of every time there's a cut, it's on education. What we need to do is look at more, for instance, in Stroudsburg, we take the lowest minimum. I take $181 a month as mayor of Stroudsburg. Our borough council takes $151 a month. We need to make sure.
Time. Thank you. Adam Reinhardt, 30 seconds.
Well, I don't think any decisions about merging or reducing numbers of municipalities should occur apart from the people who live in those districts and those municipalities. I think the final word should always be up to them through referendums and other things. I always do favor making government smaller and simpler and leaner and more efficient, but I can't go to Harrisburg and tell the people I'm going to change what you call home.
Thank you. Next question, Marlyn Kissner for Adam Reinhardt.
We touched upon this with my last question, Adam, so I'm going to continue with this. Our employers and employees are just crippled. So what are you going to do about rising health care costs across the board?
Well, I mean, the three things that I mentioned, opening up insurance over state lines, allowing Medicaid to negotiate costs, and allowing pharmaceutical companies to purchase medicines from other countries that have similar standards of safety to ours. Those would all go a long way in increasing competition and driving down costs. Really, I do think the market works, and right now I think the market is hamstrung by big pharmaceutical companies who buy and sell politicians, and maybe we could get campaign finance under control. Maybe that would, we could move in that direction, but yeah, let the market do what the market does. We used to have the healthcare system that was the envy of the world, and it seems the more the government subsidizes it, the more expensive everything gets. So, I mean, there's only so much Pennsylvania can do. This is really a federal thing.
Mario Scavello, 30 seconds.
Well, you pretty much said it is a federal thing because, Adam, what happens is this country allows pharmaceutical companies to put the cost of the research and development of that drug within the price, where other countries don't. Maybe a way that they can reduce their costs is by expanding, letting them hold out and hold off the generics a little bit longer and let them reduce their price, because they try to get it in before the generic comes in. So delay the generic a bit and let them hold that price down.
Thank you. Tarah Probst, 30 seconds.
I agree 100% with what Adam Reinhardt said. I mean, there's not one thing that he was off about on that. I know that 2.5 years ago, I took my kid into the emergency room, and just walking in the door without even seeing anybody was $650 just to walk in the door. That's ludicrous. So I agree 100%, and that's the answer.
Thank you. Looks like our last question will be from Kim Bell, and will be directed to Tarah Probst.
Okay, thank you. BRC News 13 has done several stories recently about companies from out of state, specifically New Jersey and New York, legally dumping in Pennsylvania. Do you think Pennsylvania needs tougher guidelines to prevent this from continuing to happen?
Absolutely. We are the dumping ground in Pennsylvania for New Jersey and New York. Daily they're in here with their garbage because our regulations are so extremely low and so easy for them to abuse our land. So right now, there is a sludge issue going on. I want to talk about it. In the Slate Belt, there is toxic sewage sludge being spread on farmlands. It's creeping up to our West End. And nobody was listening to them for the last 4 years. Nobody. It's affecting the water they drink. It's a live bacteria. It's affecting the water they drink, the food they're eating. The smell is horrific. These garbage trucks that are ruining from Belfast all the way down to Bangor, the complaints, and nobody does anything about it. These people, their homes are going to be worth nothing, because no one's ever going to want to live there. And now they want to expand the dump. They want to expand a Synagro company for garbage. They want to expand bringing in more garbage to these communities. When is enough enough? It's already horrible for them. The fronts of their houses are black from trucks constantly going down the roads. I knock on doors, it's their biggest issue. It's quality of life. And I feel bad because when I knock on those doors, they say, if that plant comes in, if that garbage dump comes in, I'm moving out. And I feel horrible for them because no one's going to want to buy their house. You're killing the communities with this garbage dumping in our 40th district. So.
Time. Thank you. Adam Reinhardt, 30 seconds.
Yeah, we need to protect our environment. We need to protect the values of our homes and communities. There's a lot of garbage in the world. We live in a very, we produce too much trash and not enough of it is biodegradable. I would say we need to legalize industrial hemp so that we can begin moving away from petroleum-based things that don't biodegrade and have a cleaner economy and a cleaner environment.
Thank you. And Mario Scavello, 30 seconds.
And Pennsylvania has legalized it. We can grow hemp in PA. When Tarah says that no one's listening, I am listening. We had hearings on the clean fill. We're looking at changing the regulations. We had a meeting up in Harrisburg. If the state doesn't do it on their own, we're going to do it by legislation. As far as the Synagro, I have a bill in place to allow the municipalities to make the decision on the spreading. It's a bill that was also a House bill in carbon.
And we'd like to thank the panelists for being with us today. Thank you so much for providing the questions, and our candidates, thank you so much. At this point, we're going to have our closing arguments. You'll each have up to 2 minutes to complete those closing arguments. We're going to start with Democrat Tarah Probst.
First of all, thank you again, TV 13, the Chamber, and Chris from the Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau, and thank you to my opponents. We touched on a lot of different subjects tonight, and I just want to say that even though there was a lot of doom and gloom in the questions, I'm here to tell you that Pennsylvania is a great state. We have so much to offer the people that live here, and we can be so much better. We deserve better. There's no reason, again, we should be 50th in entrepreneurship. Our kids are getting the best quality education here, and they leave. We want to keep them. We're 48th for businesses wanting to come in and do business with us. We deserve better. We've got such a lovely state, and where we're located here in the 40th district, it is close to the cities. Fields and streams, open outdoor space. We should be thriving. We deserve it. We can do better. And I want you to ask yourself, in the past 2 decades, and especially the past 16 years, are you better off? And if you're not, I'm hoping that you go to my website, tarahprobstforsenate.com, and I hope that you read my issues. I hope you read my more extensive plans. And I hope that you vote for me on November 6th, because it's really time for a change. It's time for Pennsylvania to start moving forward, not backwards. And I really appreciate your time tonight, and I appreciate the candidates' time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Libertarian candidate Adam Reinhardt.
Well, I also thank you for having me. Libertarians and third partiers have such a hard time getting exposure, so thank you for giving me a platform and for giving so many Americans and Pennsylvanians who are outside the two-party system a chance to represent our own viability in the political process. There's a lot that both of these two people said tonight that I really agree with, and in their own ways I have a lot of respect and even a little bit of love for both of these people. That being said, I am something different. We have a career politician and an aspiring career politician, and I am neither of those things. If you send me to Harrisburg, I'm not going to be concerned about re-election. I'm not going to be concerned about what kind of enemies I make along the way. I'll do the right thing. I don't know all the answers yet, and I'll never know all the answers, but I'm a person who is willing to listen to both sides of the aisle, to find the best pieces of both of the major parties and really bring them together for solutions that work. And then I'm going to go home in the spirit of what our founders envisioned our statesmen to be like. I will do my job with integrity, and I will go home. I won't take a pension. I won't pursue further office. I will do my job, and I'll do it well, and then I'll go home. So that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to send me to Harrisburg on November 6th. Yes, November 6th. Vote for Adam Reinhardt, the Libertarian candidate for Pennsylvania Senate 40. You can read more about me at adamforfreedom.com.
Okay, thank you. And finally, incumbent Republican Mario Scavello.
I want to thank TV 13 and the Chamber for putting this together as well. Just, you've heard a lot of rhetoric from my opponent, Tarah and Adam, no disrespect. I have a lot of respect for you. If you look at the record, she says she collects, she takes a salary as mayor. I never did. $281,000 of my salary has gone back to kids going to college. If you look back at the record and see the dollars that have come back to this area for education, if you look back at the record and see the money that's coming into this area for roads and bridges, 40-some-odd bridges were done in the 40th Senate District. No other counties can make that claim. Jobs, all-day vocational education. In the next 2 years, I'm going to see all-day vocational education in both Monroe and Northampton County. We have tremendous amount of laborers in Lehigh Valley retiring. We need jobs for our young people, the ones that aren't going off to college. Let's teach them a trade at MCTI. Let's get them trained into a trade. They could walk into an apprenticeship program making between $35,000 and $40,000, and that's what we want to do. We want to get our young people working. That's how you cut that minimum wage. Get them involved in the trade, train them at an early age, and in school. Let them get their then walk into a trade. Now the other thing is I'm going to try to bring companies into the vocational school to see what their needs are, and also let them help train. Weiler Brush, for example, they want to do that. So the expansion of that vocational school in Monroe, and the next step is expanding the vocational school down in Northampton County. Look at the roads. We've paved more roads this year than we have ever paved before. We had I see the lights are good. I'd appreciate your vote on November 6th. It's a pleasure representing you. I just got a green screen, so I have to, but thank you so much for all the time that we were able to have today.
Time's up. I want to thank the candidates for participating and you watching at home for the 40th State Senatorial District seat encompassing Monroe and Northampton counties. From all of us here at BRC TV 13, I'm George Roberts, reminding you to get out and vote on November 6th. Thank you. Good night.